the most deadly cancer in dogs. And this deadly cancer, in most cases, is not picked up by the veterinarian or by the pet parent until it's too late. Hey guys, my name is Dan, I'm a veterinarian. Welcome to the video. This cancer is called Hemangiosarcoma, and it is a blood vessel cancer in dogs. And it is just devastating, guys. Just devastating. I have never had a good outcome with this cancer, and I can't think of anyone that has. Now, over the years, I've had a handful of dogs live out to like 6 months or a year after receiving surgery or getting diagnosed with the hemangiosarcoma. But in general, it's almost always a bad outcome. And these dogs are dying either abruptly or they are dying within months from metastatic spread. And today, I want to kind of talk to you guys about what to expect, what we're going to do to diagnose this, how we're going to do surgery and manage the cases to buy us more time, and if your dog has hemangiosarcoma, what to expect. Also, I'm also going to touch upon the fact that there is a handful of tests that are coming out to screen for cancer. At this point, we don't know what to do with a positive indication of cancer, so these tests are helpful to better understand if a doggy has markers for cancer. But guys, we don't have a good solution to treat this if found early. Hemangiosarcoma, guys, is just that. It is a blood vessel cancer, and most often, guys, it's found in the spleen. The spleen is a blood organ, and the spleen is just full of blood, and it filters the blood. And it's an important organ. Now, it's not required, but it's an important organ. What happens is, in most cases, not all cases, but in most cases, the spleen gets covered in the cancer or the hemangiosarcoma, and it will get bigger and bigger and bigger, and chunks of the spleen will be incredibly diseased. Like, no joke, everybody. It's just all lobular and scabby and just falling apart and friable. And that's poor spleen. The spleen usually looks like the tongue of a cow. It looks like a big old tongue. And what happens is the spleen just gets huge and nodular and bloody. Now, if we do nothing with this and you have a hemangiosarcoma in your dog, what's going to happen is it will bleed. It will tear open and bleed at some point, and maybe your dog will get incredibly sick from the bleed, get really tired, get really pale, and if your doggy is not able to clot the bleed from the cancer, the dog will die abruptly. Like, they will just pass away from bleeding internally. Now, what usually happens is the doggy may have a little bit of a bleed. The pet parent notices, hey, my dog's really weak, or my doggy has some pale gums, or we're disoriented, or we're falling over, or a collection of just not doing right symptoms. In that case, they come into the vet has a look, and the vet is like, oh yeah, we are pale. Oh yeah, the abdomen is hard. There's bruising on the abdomen or the belly or the skin. And they diagnose the hemangiosarcoma in the veterinary hospital with a physical exam, blood work, x-ray, and they lock it up with an abdominal ultrasound. Now, guys, I've been doing this a long time, and I did not do ultrasounds right away. I've been doing this about 12, 13 years now, and at first I would x-ray, see a big mass in there, and I'd be like, that's a hemangiosarcoma, based on our age and our breed and our signalment. It's really important the veterinarian does an ultrasound. Without an ultrasound, it's hard to say if that mass came from somewhere else. And if the mass is coming from somewhere else, your prognosis may be different. It may. What a veterinarian can do is they can pop an ultrasound on the abdomen, and this is easy. I am not a radiologist. I am just a modest general practitioner that talks about stuff on YouTube. And all you have to do is just scan the abdomen, and when you're looking for that spleen or that tongue, when you come across it on the left side of the abdomen, you're going to have normal tissue, and then it's going to get really abnormal and lumpy and bumpy and cavernous and just look really scary. Also, you'll probably have some fluid in the abdomen, which the x-ray can help you pick up with poor serosal detail, we call it. But more importantly, you're going to see it on the ultrasound with a lot of ease. It's going to be easy, guys. Once the veterinarian diagnoses it, they're going to come to you and they're going to say this. Everyone says the same thing. They're going to say, if we go in and do surgery, we can stop the bleed. So they can go do surgery. they can stop the bleed, get the spleen out of there, and they can stop the acute process of the doggy dying from bleeding out. You may need a blood transfusion. If you're in an emergency clinic, this is going to be really expensive, like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,000. If you're a general practitioner like myself, it's probably going to be in the neighborhood of 2,000 to 3,000. But if you need to have a spleen removed and blood transfusion and the whole 9 yards, it's not going to be cheap. And the problem is, until we do histopathology on that spleen, we don't know if it's just a bleeding hematoma or a benign problem, or if it's actually the dreaded hemangiosarcoma. Hemangiosarcomas, guys, are almost always deadly within about 3 to 6 months of being diagnosed. And after you take the spleen out, you may look around and the rest of the abdomen or the belly may look beautiful. But the problem is, guys, with hemangiosarcoma, you don't appreciate all the metastatic spread. Like I said earlier, it's a blood vessel cancer. So it's already spread to other organs, maybe the chest, but more likely places like the liver, we may see it first. In some of these cases, when I open these dogs up, I see it on other organs, and then I know we are in a lot of trouble. And in some cases, we don't even wake the doggy up because it's so advanced. And by taking the spleen out, we're not going to buy the doggy any good quality of life. Now, if we get in there and everything looks good, take the spleen out, we buy the doggy a lot of quality of life, thank goodness, and the doggy can live for hopefully months, if not few months, of a good quality, comfortable life before it spreads somewhere else. Now, we talked about controlling it acutely from the bleed. We talked about expectations long-term, which are poor, even with seeing an oncologist. I've never seen a dog live beyond a year, unfortunately. Now, here's the deal. How do we diagnose it early? This is the real challenge. You can do a handful of things. Now, some people talk about doing x-rays, and x-rays are a great idea. We may do x-rays and ultrasounds to scan for abdominal masses and splenic masses. And if you see that, you're going to go in there and take it out, right? But here's the deal. We already know if it's in there and present on imaging and you take it out, you have the same prognosis moving forward. The doggy is still going to die and get sick in 3 to 6 months, maybe even less, depending on how aggressive it is. So even though it's good to go in there and take it out and we prevent the acute bleed by doing it early and find it early, we're not solving the problem of, I want a better prognosis. I want my doggy to live longer. They've come out with a handful of blood tests you can do. And what they do, guys, is they scan the blood, and that allows them to see if there are markers or indication of cancer. Now, the big labs are coming out with a couple different tests. There's a couple of smaller labs coming out, and they are definitely out there. And I think for hemangiosarcoma, a lot of them are very valid and can be very helpful. But the problem is, again, if we diagnose it in the blood, before it gets to the spleen, and we know we may have something going on or we're predisposed to it, what do? Because we don't have cancer yet sometimes, or maybe it's not noticeable cancer. So are we giving chemotherapy? Are we seeing an oncologist? Are we watching it? Because if we watch it, it's probably going to be a problem within a very short period of time. And then why did we do the test? What I am really pushing for, I would say, is if we're going to be doing these tests, if we're going to be spending money, if we're going to be driving to find things early, we should really know what our plan is. If this comes back positive, what do I do? And if I do this thing, can I buy my doggy more quality, good life? Because that hemangiosarcoma is a beast, and it is horrible, and it is sad, and we need to get better at diagnosing it earlier and having a plan. Because in most cases, we're diagnosing it, cutting the spleen out, buying time, but we're not curing these dogs. And we need a better option for them. All right, guys, my name's Dan. Thanks for watching. If you have any experience with hemangiosarcoma, please feel free to share. I would love that. You guys take care. Bye.